Hello and welcome to the third installment of my Better Together video series. This week we're going to be discussing issues important to our nation's veterans. But before I get to that, I want to thank everybody who participated in last week's survey. I asked what you thought was the best way to extend the life of the Social Security program. You overwhelmingly said that we ought to increase the cap in earnings subject to the Social Security tax up to $400,000. Now your feedback is important to me, and I'm going to keep your thoughts in mind if and when Congress considers legislation affecting the Social Security program. Now this week we turn our attention to our nation's veterans. There are about 23 million veterans in the United States today. That includes an entire generation of men and women who have served in armed conflict in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, more than 9 million veterans are enrolled in the VA healthcare system, with over a third of them dealing with a disability related to their military service. The rise in traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress diagnoses make it critical that our veterans have access to high-quality health care for their physical and mental needs. With about 1 million veterans in Pennsylvania and fully 50,000 of them in the 17th Congressional District alone, we have to pursue every means of providing veterans and their families the highest quality medical care available. That's why I've introduced legislation that expedites the hiring of VA-trained psychiatrists to treat veterans in need. I've introduced legislation that expands the length of time for which veterans can receive mental health care treatment. And I've introduced legislation that promotes long-term investment in orthotics and prosthetics education and training for the VA system. I'm going to continue to support legislation that provides the VA the authority to make necessary changes, plus measures designed to expand the type of care that patients can receive in the system. Now, I've also introduced a bipartisan resolution to amend the Congressional House rules to require a reading of the names of the members of our armed forces who died in the previous month as a result of combat operations. I was a proud co-sponsor of the Clay Hunt Suicide Prevention for American Veterans Act, the SAVE Act, bipartisan legislation to address the epidemic of suicide among our nation's veterans, and that was recently signed into law. Now, my district office in Pottsville is set up to assist veterans in the 17th Congressional District who need assistance in dealing with the VA and for every other kind of veteran problem. Now, you've heard from me about what I'm doing to meet our obligations to our veterans. Now it's your turn. I encourage all of you to visit my website and send me a letter. Use the hashtag BetterTogether to tell me how we can best serve those who have bravely served our country in its time of need. Thanks very much.